Okay, let's dive in. We have some fascinating material today, these incredibly detailed cultural blueprints. One for North Korea's South Hamgyong province.
And the other for South Korea's Gyeonggi-do.
Exactly. So our mission here is to use these sources, compare them, and really try to understand how regional identity forms, especially across such a stark political divide.
Yeah, this is a unique chance, really. A side-by-side look at how two Koreas, the DPRK and the ROK, define regional character, history, politics, economics. They've pushed these places onto very different tracks.
And you see that right away, don't you? The sources paint South Hamgyong as this place defined by, well, endurance, isolation. It's the industrial heartland for the north.
While Gyeonggi-do is pitched as the gateway to Seoul, all about modernity, progress, but still connected to its heritage.
Let's unpack that northern identity first. South Hamgyong, the geography seems key.
Absolutely. It's dictated by the land. You've got these huge mountains running right down to the East Sea coast. It's rugged terrain.
Not easy living, I imagine.
Not at all.
Hmm.
And that environment basically demands a life built around heavy industry mining, fishing. The DPRK narrative really leans into this, portraying it as the quintessential workers' province.
So it's not just about listing industries, it shapes the whole mindset. Resilience becomes the core trait.
Precisely. The sources mention the Hamdini people are known for being quite blunt, maybe a bit rough around the edges, possibly hardened by history, by floods, by just being quite isolated.
And the cities reflect that focus.
Definitely. Hamshung, the capital, is all about chemicals and textiles. Tanshun is this major mining center, magnesite, lead, zinc. The whole region's self-image seems tied to wrestling resources from the earth.
Okay, now flip that coin. Gyeonggi-do in the south.
It's almost the opposite. Gyeonggi-do is about balance. It's the region wrapped around Seoul. So you have massive urban sprawl, tech giants.
Right, Samsung's HQ is there, major universities.
But also really fertile farmland. It juggles both.
It really is the engine room for South Korea today. But what about the identity? If everyone's commuting into Seoul, influenced by the capital's speed, does Gyeonggi-do retain its own distinct character?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The sources suggest it's a mix. Yes, many residents are commuters, very much tied into Seoul's orbit.
Right.
But there's also this fierce pride mentioned.
Based on what? History?
Largely, yes.
Yeah.
Think of Suwon and its massive Hwaseon fortress that's UNESCO World Heritage. They actively celebrate that history, or Yongin with the Korean folk village. They keep traditions alive, but maybe integrate them differently.
How so?
Well, it feels less like preservation for its own sake and more like adapting tradition into modern life. It exists alongside the theme parks and tech hubs.
Adapting versus enduring, that feels like a key theme emerging here. Let's dig into the history then. The Korean War must have been a major turning point for both.
Oh, absolutely. For South Hamgyong, its industrial base, already exploited during the Japanese colonial period, made it a prime target.
So, Hamhung, Hungnam, they got hit hard.
Devastatingly hard. Heavy bombing campaigns focused right on those industrial centers.
And the sources highlight one specific event there, the Hungnam evacuation, December 1950. What was that?
It was this incredible, desperate measure, a UN-led evacuation by sea. They pulled out almost 100,000 troops and civilian refugees from the port at Hungnam as Chinese forces closed in.
Wow. That must be a defining
A
memory.
huge one, a story of survival against the odds. And after the war, the North poured everything into rebuilding that specific area, chemicals, shipbuilding. It cemented that narrative. Resilience, reconstruction, achieved through sheer hard work.
So that idea of iron-willed industry literally rose from the ashes of the war.
Pretty much. Meanwhile, Gyeonggi-do experienced the war very differently.
He was closer to the initial fighting, right?
Exactly. Its history goes way back. Joseon dynasty royal tombs, fortresses like Hwasong. But in the war, it became the front line. Key battles like Osan, Suwon. The fight for the capital happened right there.
And after the armistice, what path did Gyeonggi-do take?
Instead of rebuilding state-run heavy industry like the North, it became the launch pad for South Korea's economic boom. Rapid industrialization, massive urban growth spreading out from Seoul.
So it also rebuilt, but in a completely different way.
Yes, and it managed to weave its history into that growth. You see it in things like the Hosang Cultural Festival. They bring out the traditional Royal Guard costumes. History becomes heritage, tourism, a part of the modern identity.
Whereas in the North, history seems used more to reinforce the state narrative of struggle and industrial might.
That's a good way to put it. One leverages history for tourism and pride, the other for ideology and production.
Okay, this contrast, harsh endurance versus quality and prosperity, surely that shows up in the food culture. Tell me about the South Hamgying diet. Does it reflect that austere kitchen idea?
It really does. Given the mountainous terrain inland, the staples are what you'd expect for survival.
Yeah.
Corn, barley, potatoes,
Yeah.
very hardy crops.
Then by the coast.
Heavy reliance on the sea. Pollock, squid, clams, seaweed, whatever they can harvest.
And the famous cold noodles, naengmyeon. Is the Hangjing style different?
Very different, according to the sources. It's described as thinner, much icier, and generally more austere than the well-known Pyongyang style. They also rely a lot on things like pickled fish. Dried pollock methods of preservation are key.
Food born from necessity, from making things last.
Exactly. And their traditions reflect that dependence on nature, too. Fishing festivals, folk tales about mountain and sea spirits. It's a life lived in dialogue with a demanding environment.
Now, contrast that with Gyeonggi-do's cuisine. You called it the quality gateway.
Yeah, it's a world apart. Take rice at Yucheon rice from Gyeonggi-do is often called the best in Korea. Quality is paramount.
And signature dishes.
We're talking things like suwon galbi, those big, beautifully marinated beef ribs, very famous.
Yeah.
Plus high-quality local specialties like gyeomtae pears or ansang makioli, a type of rice wine.
So it's food that celebrates abundance and regional specialties.
Right. And their traditions often showcase this cultural richness. Think of the Korean folk village again, traditional houses, wedding reenactments, or festivals featuring martial arts like Taekyon. It's about celebrating heritage and progress.
This is fascinating. The divergence is so clear, but the sources suggest the most powerful difference might be in the sound, the voice of these regions.
Yes, this is where identity gets really distinct, especially in modern expression.
Let's start with the language itself, South Hamgyong.
The Hangim dialect is known for being distinct, described as sharp, fast, maybe a bit harsh-sounding to other Koreans. It mirrors that bluntness we talked about.
Like how they'd ask, "What are you doing?"
Right, Anja Mihani. It's apparently very quick, very direct.
It's in the official messaging.
Fits the mold. Forged steel in Hamshing's fires. Very industrial, very driven. Musically, it's deep. You get these slower, more mournful versions of the folk song Arang. And the revolutionary songs aren't about happiness. They're about celebrating the heroic workers. Sacrifice is the theme.
The sources use this incredible description for the musical style. Industrial folk ballad meets dark sea shanty, mining punk. What does that even sound like?
It's evocative, isn't it?
Yeah.
It suggests traditional instruments like the gajum, that long zither, maybe the low-bowed bass, but mixed with metallic sounds, percussions, maybe chanting choirs. It's music designed to evoke hardship and endurance. Iron-willed industry.
Wow, that sounds intense.
Think about the lyric snippet they pulled out.
Anisha.
Hechincha, breath stained with iron powder, still alive.
Chilling. That's not just a lyric, it's a statement of existence through labor.
It's the sound of survival itself, captured in music.
Okay, deep breath. Let's shift gears completely. The sound of Gyeonggi-do, language first.
It's basically standard Korean, very close to the Seoul dialect. But what really defines its sound, especially among younger people, is the constant churn of youth slang.
Ah, like the examples given. Dieback for amazing.
Exactly. And heel for disbelief, or ed, gyeonda for something epic or awesome. It's dynamic, fast-changing.
And musically, what's the foundation?
The traditional base is Gyeonggi Minyo. These are the classic folk songs of the central region. But Gyeonggi-do has taken that foundation and run with it. It is the absolute epicenter of the modern K-pop industry.
Right, all the training centers, big agencies, home to artists like IU, RM from BTS.
The list goes on. So the musical concept is completely different from the North.
The sources called it modern K-pop meets Gyeonggi Minyo folk song, electro-orchestral fusion.
Yeah, think big cinematic sounds. You might have orchestral strings, but then they layer in traditional drumming, like the jingyu, that hourglass drum, alongside modern synth pads and trap beats. It's a fusion.
And the themes, not hardship, I'm guessing.
No, the opposite. It's all about vibrant energy, unity, progress, excitement.
And the representative lyric reflects that.
Perfectly. Yeah, get that back. My hometown, lights and rice paddies. It's celebratory, optimistic. It embraces both the modern lights and the traditional rice paddies.
The contrast is just stark. Breath-stained with iron powder versus a hometown of lights and rice paddies. It really sums up the impact of the two different systems, doesn't it?
It lays it bare. This whole deep dive really illuminates these two parallel worlds. South Hamgyong, identity forged in industry, isolation, survival. defined by the mountains and the sea and the struggle with them.
And Gyeonggi-do, built on deep history, yes, but constantly adapting, driving modernization. It's the face of South Korea's global reach, from tech to culture, Samsung to K-pop, like you said.
But here's the really interesting part, I think. Underneath these massive differences, you still find common threads.
How so?
Well, one region stresses resilience through enduring hardship, physical labor. The other stresses resilience through adaptation, speed, technological progress, different methods, but maybe a similar core value. And look at the tools they use to express it.
The traditional instruments.
Exactly. Both still use instruments like the gaegeum or the jangu. Both have their regional versions of orang. There's still a shared cultural toolkit, even if the message is radically different.
So the fundamental Korean spirit, maybe, finds a way through, regardless of the system. One sounds like mourning the past to get through the present. The other celebrates the past to fuel the future.
That's a great way to frame it. Which leaves us, and you the listener, with a provocative thought to chew on. If music reflects identity so clearly, what's the real difference, stripping away the politics for a moment, between that dark sea shanty from the north and the electro-orchestral fusion from the south?
Where does the imposed ideology end and the inherent cultural DNA begin?
That's the question. You've got the details from this deep dive. Now, figuring out that deeper layer, that's the next step.